Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your favorite bald weeb here, and in my search to find the most degenerate of manga of all time, I came across this one. This one is called World's End Harem Fantasia. Now, by looking at this cover, you might think, I can only imagine what's gonna happen in this one. Let me guess, this main character has a ridiculous power that allows him to like hypnotize women, and he just takes advantage of them. You'd kind of be right. And a lot of the past manga I reviewed, a lot of the main characters are just straight degenerates and bad people, but this one is a little different. The main character is definitely not a bad guy and is actually pretty likable, and there are tons of boobas. You got dark elf boobs, maid boobs, milf boobs, fox girl boobs, tons of titties just flopping around everywhere. Huge fan, love it. But it also does have a really good storyline with well-written characters, and I was honestly pleasantly surprised with how this turned out. I was expecting this just to be pure degeneracy, but I was very surprised with how good the story was and everything else. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of information. I'm going to try not to spoil too much, just in case you do want to read. You guys can go check it out for yourself, and I'm not spoiling too much. So let's get into it. So in the world of World's End Harem Fantasia, the world is slowly coming to an end from the darkness and the demons and the gobbledygooks that are hiding out there, and this really isn't talked about too much in the story. Even up until the most recent chapter, this isn't really a big plot point. It's known, but it's not like a huge thing in the story. There's a lot of other things that the main character has to worry about. But our main character is the son of a lesser known noble in a small country. His family, I believe, is the branch family of a bigger family, and our main character arc doesn't really have much going for him. He's not really specifically talented in anything. He doesn't really have a great physique. He's really kind of shy and doesn't really have much confidence in himself, but he does have one thing. He does have the drive.
It's about drive. It's about power.
He's got the Rock, Dwayne Johnson in his corner. So he does have a little bit of determination in him. Now, there are a couple other main characters that you do need to know. One is Aurelia. That is his cousin, and he and Aurelia definitely like each other. Now, it's the year 1998. Things like that happened back then. Sweet Home Alabama wasn't a song yet. But because Ark is kind of considered useless in his family, and is kind of one of the lesser branch families, there is no hope for him and Aurelia to ever be together. At one point, they did try to run away, but they ended up getting caught, and Ark ended up getting thrown in the dungeon to, cool off and rethink of what he did and the consequences of his actions. And Aurelia was actually used as a bargaining chip. She was sent to the capital to be given to the crown prince, so that way their family could get more power and influence. Now, while Ark was in his cellar, he did get a little visit from another lovely main character, our dark elf Lati. Her actual name is a lot longer. I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but so she comes up to him and immediately just starts making out with him. I mean, like, if I was to meet a dark elf, that is the exact way I want it to play out. But she's like, hey, you have a power, a very strong power. It's only in its infancy, but I can help you. I can help you bring out this power and use it to its maximum. He's like, listen, that sounds kind of sketch, but I'm gonna hear you out. So she tells him, hey, listen, I can help you. There's a ritual that we can do that'll make this power, come to its fullest. And he's like, all right, dope. What do I need to do? She says 3 things. Number 1, you're gonna need to pack on mass. You're gonna need to work out. You're gonna need to eat a lot of lean meats. Get your protein in. You're gonna hit your macros every day. She even gives him like a protein shake that he has to take every night. So he's got to get in shape. He's got to start pumping some iron. Number 2, he ain't allowed busting any fat loads. No busting of the nuts for 1 year. For 1 year, he has to remain pure of heart, just like our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So that means no touching yourself and no allowing anybody else to touch you, which a couple people, they try, but he remembers that he's not allowed to do that. And the third thing is he's going to need some money. He has to build this nice, beautiful altar for the ritual with a lot of, gold and a lot of flair and a lot of fanfare. And he has 1 year to do it. So for the next year, works his entire ass off, gets in shape, practices with the sword a lot, eats a lot of lean meats, hits his macros, gets a lot of money, helps his father out, is learning more about the trade, learning more about how to run the family. And after a year, that's when the ritual begins. He heads into like the most Lara Croft rapey cave I've ever seen. He heads down into it where our lovely dark elf is waiting for him. Now, the ritual, little weird. I'm not sure this is how rituals go, but she was preparing for it. She got an egg and she hatched it. And inside the egg was a little black dragon. Normally, when you think little black dragon, let's put it inside of me, because that's exactly how that works. So she shoves it up inside of her. She gets naked. She ties down Ark and she's like, listen, this is going to happen whether you want it to happen or not. And he was like, lady, I was born ready. So they end up doing it. And because of the dragon being inside of her when they do it, that for some reason allows his power to come forth, and he gets the extreme awesome dragon powers that he's always wanted. Now, once these powers come forth, he immediately gets stronger and more powerful, and he gets a bunch of other powers which you do learn slowly throughout the course of the manga. But the one power that he learns right away is that if any woman drinks his blood, semen, or sweat, or any bodily fluids of his own, they get, you know, an irresistible urge to want his semen and to want his seed. Yes, yeah, it always revolves around that. Every degenerate manga, all the women want the man's seed. So if any woman takes his blood in, they'd immediately become hot for him and like they want him now. But they also become incredibly strong and incredibly powerful. So, you know, it's the best of both worlds. There's no downside to this whatsoever. So he immediately gets his own little posse. He gets a bunch of women who were in prison. He gets a couple of his childhood friends. And one important person that he gets was one of his servants, who was named Wenny. Now, she had the hots for her master the entire time. Like, I'm talking like she was going to town on herself just by sniffing some of his blood in a handkerchief. Like, she was really hot for him before he gave her this power. So after he gave her this power, it just, you know, it magnified like by 10. And she got incredibly strong to the point where she challenged Ark's sword trainer, who is also a childhood friend of his, who also very much likes him, whose name is Celine, and the servant, Wenny, absolutely handed it to her. And this discouraged Celine so much that she's like, you know what? I'm embarrassed. Like, I need to peace out. I'm gone. But not for good. You'll end up seeing more of her throughout the rest of the story. But the rest of the manga kind of goes like that. He goes on these wacky little adventures. Well, not wacky. Like, they're pretty serious. Like, it's not like a happy-go-lucky manga. Like, you're not going to be laughing and being like, oh, this is, you know, a slice of life. Like, it's pretty serious at some points, and a lot of shit happens. But he does get more and more women to join, like, his quote-unquote harem, I guess. And like I said before, main character's not really a scumbag. He's not using this power to his advantage to just have sex with a lot of women. He does do that. He does, you know, feel some titties, and definitely does have some sex at some point, but he's not, you know, taking advantage of all these women. He usually only uses his power if they're okay with it, so he's not a complete scumbag. And I'll also one thing, I'm not gonna spoil who, but he also does get someone pregnant. So, you know, MC, good job, buddy. So this manga, you might think at first glance would be complete degenerosity, and why would anybody read that? But if you actually take the time, you read it yourself, you're gonna realize that there's a lot of well-written characters, good plot, tons of titties, lots of titties, and the main character isn't a giant pussy. Like, he's not afraid to step down when it comes to women. There's just really no bad parts about this. The only bad parts I would say is there's only 28 chapters, and it doesn't really update too often. That's the only bad part about this manga. You're gonna be waiting a while between chapters, and that's really the only bad part. It's not like you get one every month. You'll get one like every 3 months or something like that. Sometimes if you're lucky, you'll get one back to back in a month, but you're gonna be waiting a couple months before the next chapter. But other than that, I would definitely recommend it. Give it a read. Definitely don't do it with family in your house, because a lot of action goes on, and you're gonna be questioned, and you don't want to have to, you know, deal with that. So if you guys end up reading this, let me know down there below in the comments, or if you have read it, let me know what you think. And that's pretty much it. I'll leave the name of the manga and the creator down there below in the description, and let me know if you guys have any degenerate mangas you guys want me to look at and review, and I will definitely take a look at them. So hopefully you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.